And now we have a hearty college football Saturday welcome to Florida State Hall of Famer Danny Kanell and CBS Sports college football writer Tom Fornelli, 2/3 of the Cover 3 podcast right there, and the Wizard of Odds himself, Kenny White. We've already started talking a little bit about this game that's coming up 3:30 Eastern on CBS. Florida at Tennessee, over 100,000, most of them dressed in orange, a couple of ranked SEC teams. Guys, this is the good stuff right here. 11th ranked Vols coming in, 10.5-point favorites. The total 62.5. Danny, you're up first. Where's the edge in this one?
Let's go, Russ. Let's get it going, man. This feels like a monster matchup, and it is. And the scene's going to be absolutely insane. I cannot wait to watch this one unfold. You know, coming off of Josh Pate, we heard his breakdown of this game, and I'd have to say I'm in agreement with a lot of things he said. I know there's a concern with Cedric Tillman being out of this game, but Jalen Hyatt has picked up the slack already, coming off a monster performance last week, showing that he's more than capable of filling the void. And this is more about the system that Josh Heupel runs and Hendon Hooker, the quarterback, executes. They come out, they get off to a fast start. They're outscoring their opponents 228-61 in the first quarter in the Josh Heupel era. I think that trend continues. I think playing at home, I think they jump all over the Gators early, which is going to make it really hard for the Florida Gators to try to do what they want to do, which is run the football. It's really going to test their patience. And if they have to start throwing the football coming from behind, you cannot have any confidence in Anthony Richardson as the Florida Gator quarterback. The number's concerning how big it is. It's the largest point spread that Tennessee has been favored in this rivalry. That's a little bit of a concern, but I still think this is the time, and I've been less than impressed with Florida's offense, so I'm actually on the under as well, because I don't know if Hendon Hooker and company just fly around and put up, a 50-burger on this Florida defense. I think they'll be slowed down somewhat, but I think they'll have enough to cover and stay under the total.
Yeah, I'm with you, Danny. I'm taking the under in this one simply because I think if you look at how Tennessee is going to want to beat and exploit Florida today, if you look at Florida last week in that close game against South Florida in which they barely scrapped a win against a bad team, a team they should have beaten easily, the Bulls were able to run the ball very effectively against that Gator defense, and that has been the case for Florida in all of its games this season. Its secondary has played pretty well. Its defensive front has not held up well against the run. So if you're Tennessee and you're missing Cedric Tillman at receiver, I think this is the week where the Vols are going to look to get some explosive plays in the run game, which is going to keep the clock running. And on the other side of the team, with Florida has the ball, the only way they're going to win this game is by keeping that Tennessee offense off the field as much as possible. So we're going to see the Gators leading on the run game with Anthony Richardson, with their running backs, and trying to take something off of Richardson's plate and not force him to try to keep up with Hendon Hooker pass for pass, because that is just not Anthony Richardson's strength. So the way I see this script going, I see a lot of runs in this game. I see the clock moving. I see fewer possessions. And you put all that together, that usually leads to fewer points. So I think the under is the smart play today.
This has been a series just dominated by the Gators, and Tennessee would just love to get that losing streak off their back, and they're in a great situation too. Josh Heupel's done a tremendous job. Hendon Hooker, the perfect quarterback for his system. I had to look. Everybody loves this game under. I had to look to see what I made my total. It is a high total in the 60s for an SEC game, but they play so fast. Tennessee can score. I know Florida's defense is good, but it hasn't been great. So I'm on Tennessee today and laying that points, going against history. The big key is, we've talked about it, Anthony Richardson, the lack of accuracy, 0 touchdown passes, 4 INTs. He's going up against the guy, Hendon Hooker, who can throw touchdown passes, who does take care of the football. It's just a complete opposite turnaround of teams. And Tennessee's defense with Barron and Young on the ends defensively are going to be able to slow Richardson down running the football. He's not going to be able to run the football, I don't think, well today. They've done a great job of stopping opposing quarterbacks. So it just looks like Tennessee has a huge edge everywhere in this game, offensively, defensively, the crowd, the motivation, and that losing streak they've had against the Gators. So let's go Vols. Let's win big today.
All right, Kenny is seeing things clearly, and I'm coming right back to you, Kenny, with our next game. Texas Tech trying to beat Texas in Lubbock for the first time since 2008. Red Raiders getting 7. The total is 61. Where do you see it, Kenny?
Yeah, this one I probably should have just said let's go under in this game, because there's so many question marks at quarterback for both teams. Does Ewers come back? He's got the clavicle injury. Card's playing with a high ankle sprain. And on the other side, Donovan Smith has struggled throwing the football. Morton has gotten a chance. I think it does come down to defense in this game. Rivalry game, Texas Tech, I think, is a team that has been solid on both sides of the football. Donovan Smith's going to have to use his legs a little bit today for Texas Tech. I'm taking the Red Raiders here in a rivalry game. I'm taking the 7. I think it's going to be a close game. And again, probably should have taken a little look at the total. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring game.
I'm with you, Kenny. I'm on the Red Raiders getting 7 points. You mentioned it. You look at Texas's quarterback situation. Quinn Ewers is reportedly practicing all week. We do not know if he's going to be available to play, or if he does play, how healthy he truly is. Hudson Card, you mentioned, has a sprained ankle. So if he plays, he's not going to be at 100% full health. And you just look at this Texas team. Honestly, I'm scared to trust Texas. I know they played well against Alabama, but I've seen this story too many times before. And we saw last week, this is a Longhorns team that struggled to get going against UTSA before finally getting its act together and picking up the win. But what really stands out to me for this matchup today is all 3 of Texas's games so far have been in Austin. This is the first time the Longhorns will have been on the road. So whether it's Hudson Card or Quinn Ewers making his first road start, it's going to be a lot more difficult environment than anything that they've played in so far. And I think that could cause them to get off to a slower start. And while I agree, Donovan Smith has had some problems for Texas Tech with turnovers since he's had to take over the job. I think he's got the higher ceiling of Texas Tech's quarterbacks. And I think if he gets his act together and goes against the Texas defense that looks improved, but was still very bad last year, and I'm not sure it's good again all of a sudden, I think the Red Raiders are going to get find a lot more success on offense in this game than most people are expecting. And I think they're going to keep this one close at a minimum and enter the fourth quarter. This is going to be a 1-score game.
I don't know if it's cause to celebrate, but let's go ahead and celebrate because we're all on the same side. Lock it up. I'm on the Red Raiders too. Lubbock is a great home field advantage, and their crowd is going to be absolutely insane. I'm sure they're sick and tired of hearing all about Texas and the moves they've made. And Tom, you pointed it out. I was on UTSA last week, so had my eyeballs on that game. I still think it was the right side, even though Texas pulled away late. I don't know if I'm in a position to trust Texas yet as a program. We've seen this story before, as you mentioned. And Donovan Smith, the quarterback for Texas Tech, his first appearance playing this year, he was close to perfect. Then he struggled a little bit. That is normal. But he had a pick 6 on the road at NC State, another turnover as well, a couple interceptions. If he cleans those up, which I'm sure Joey McGuire has harped to him, hey, just don't kill us. Don't put us in a bad position. I think they'll be able to hang score for score with Texas in a lower scoring affair too. But give me the Red Raiders until I see Texas sustain some success. Show me that they're willing to go on the road and win in a hostile environment by more than a touchdown. I'm going to make them prove it to me before I buy it.
All right, a lot of agreement going on here, and that's not a bad thing. We're all trying to make money on these games. If you guys are all seeing the same things, just blurt it out, man. It's a better reason to put money down on it. Tom, North Carolina's unbeaten through 3 games. They got one of the most prolific offenses in the nation. They're led by quarterback Drake May, who's got 11 touchdown passes and just 1 interception. Notre Dame finally got a win last week for Marcus Freeman, which is great. Where's the money, though, to be made with the Heels given 2.5 and a total of 55.5?
Oh, we are buying low on Notre Dame because the Irish did get that win last week and it was ugly. And there are a lot of questions about that Irish offense. But if you've seen what's happened in this series between these two teams the last few years, Notre Dame has dominated North Carolina, and specifically in the trenches, where the Irish have just been bigger and stronger than the Tar Heels to this point. And I don't think that's changed. I know that Notre Dame's offense has struggled, but we've seen the North Carolina defense give up points to anything that breathes. And I think that the Irish offense, which has struggled all year long, is going to finally find some success today. I think that they're going to win this game on the road outright. I am taking the points, but I just think that the Irish are a more talented team, and it'll finally kind of start to show in this one because I love Drake May. I was surprised. I was worried about North Carolina when Sam Howell left and went to the NFL, how they were going to replace him. I think they've upgraded. I think Drake May is the real deal. I think he's a future first-round pick, but he hasn't faced a defensive front like this one or a defense that plays the style that Notre Dame does that will probably confuse him and cause him problems pre-snap and could lead to a turnover or two, which will help turn the tide for the Irish. So give me Notre Dame and the points.
Tom, I am with you. I have a man crush on Drake May as well since week 1. When they go into these shootout games and he goes toe-to-toe with App State, putting up 63 points. But I don't think this game is about Drake May. I just wonder how many times they can get in these games where they have to rely on the offense to bail them out, especially against a team that's going to be able to slow the game down. They're not going to ask Drew Pine to go out there and throw it all over the field. They're going to try to work it right up the middle, the heart of that North Carolina defense, control the time of possession. And I do think they'll have more success than most teams getting to Drake May, who is pretty mobile. And I think he could make this game interesting of why the spread is so close. But I'm with you on the Fighting Irish. Last week against Cal, it was very tense, right? Tommy Rees, we saw him chewing out Drew Pine from the booth saying, hey, you got to step out, snap out of this funk. And I think that's what it was. I think that was kind of the, just the sigh of relief. Okay, we lost. We got through that game. We didn't lose. We got to win. Now they can come in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Wait a second. We're the underdog in this position against North Carolina. I think that frees up Notre Dame to take a little bit of control of this game. I'm with you on the money line sprinkle, too. It was one of mine in the Cover 3 pod. I like the Fighting Irish with the points.
I'm going to play it a little differently. I'm going to play the total here, but I'm going to play the first half. I'm going to go under 28 points in the first half. And its strength against weakness here in this game. North Carolina, their defense is a weakness, but so is Notre Dame's offense, and vice versa. So I think it's the Notre Dame defense that takes control of this game. And you guys obviously betting on Notre Dame today are backing that defense today and being able to stop Drake May and that North Carolina offense. But it's the North Carolina defense that I think is better than actually what they've shown so far. Notre Dame's offense, we've seen the struggles. Drew Pine has struggled. The entire offense has struggled. So I think it's a defensive football game today. Notre Dame has done really well against ACC teams to 24 straight wins, regular season wins against the ACC since 2017. And I'm going to go under 28 points in the first half.
All right, Kenny, Danny, Tom, thank you so much. Here's a review of the picks for the afternoon games. All three of these guys, like Texas Tech, getting 7 at home to Texas. The under's a favorite in the SEC on CBS game in Knoxville. And Danny and Tom both like Notre Dame getting 2.5 in Chapel Hill.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.